So I have this friend, who's a neighbor, good guy. He kind of knows what's up. I talk to him sometimes about things. He was up north. I think he was visiting a friend or something. And he got this app to put on his phone that shows who, or tells you when there are people around that are jabbed. They show up like Wi-Fi signals, how they ping on your phone. Which makes me, there's some kind of receiver in that, whatever's in it. No one seems to know what's in it. No one can tell you what's in it. Your doctor can't tell you what's in it. But anyway, he put this thing on his phone. But he said there was like no one up there. It was just him. So he turns it on. And he's heading to the bus stop. And it goes off. One goes off. He sees one appear. And he's like, wow, it's a store. So he goes in there. And there's just a woman working there. And she was still wearing a mask, and he used that as an inroad to discuss the thing. Subsequently, finds out that she did get the thing. So it confirmed with him that that was the ping on his phone. She's waiting for the bus. Nobody's around. His phone starts going off. Bing. Bing, 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 bing. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Up rolls the bus. Was pinging the people in the bus. So he's like, wow, crazy shit. So he's coming back here, Waikiki. Obviously, my neighbor lives here. So he's as he's driving along, his screen is pinging, but it's like the things will come up saying like it's loading information, like it's trying to get something, and then it'll drop it, and then it'll trying to get something, and then it'll drop it, like a whole list of them. And he's just assuming it's because I'm driving by these areas where something's going off, but then I'm driving through them too quickly for it to get a hold on it to actually go up. So then he starts coming into Waikiki right here. And his phone starts going bing, 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 bing. He said it was like a machine gun going off. And it was just all these IP addresses. Or whatever is in place of an IP address that the receiver is giving information back to this app to tell you that these jabbed people are, or who they are. Each one is a jabbed person, And it's all going off because he came into town here. And there's so many of them. He shut it off, He's afraid his phone was going to overheat or explode or something. What that tells me, and I've heard about this before, this app or this way to get people to pop up on your device. What the logical, conclusion is that there's some kind of receiver in this stuff. And if you'll notice, a lot of times the shills will ridicule people for even trying to allude that there is maybe some connection between 5G frequency and the way they threw them all up during lockdown and put all this stuff up with speakers. And I was always wondering, why the speakers? Why'd they install all these speakers? I'm like, well, is this for when they try their Bluebeam thing? Is that how you're going to hear sound? And I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. But then you think about it, and the sound is frequency. It's just frequency. So they can emit sounds. It's not going to be broadcasting like a sound effect. It's going to be broadcasting something you can't hear, but possibly a dog can or whatever. It's a audio. It's audio. It's going to be broadcasting, not. But as far as being able to pick up people that have the thing, there's got to be a receiver in there. And like I said, if you even approach the subject of perhaps there's some kind of nanotechnology being used, you know, people ridicule you, they freak out, but there is. Oh man, I had a Daily Motion video which was showing how they use it, nanotechnology, and what they are. And it was showing them they're smaller than a cell, and they're like these little black dots, and they have them on the, and they were showing how they appear on swabs and how they just appear. They have them in the masks too. That PCR test thing, they can distribute them to you through that. That's why they have to touch your fucking brain. You know, there's no... I knew there was something about that when I first started seeing that, and I was like, well, is it a pineal gland thing? Are they trying to test your pineal gland? It was something like that. But no, it's just another way to get this stuff into you. The jab, see, I don't want to talk about too much about it because I'll get banned for medical misinformation. If I wanted to do something like that, okay, if I was this mad genius scientist and I wanted to get nano receivers or nanotechnology that would act as receivers, and I wanted to, say, inject these into people, I would need something that passes the blood-brain barrier. And that's what I would put into it, right? I'm saying that's what I would do. I'm not saying that's what's been done and can be looked up online very easily as one of the only hard things people may know about whatever. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. But at any rate, these are the receivers that are going in there. So then I'm thinking, why would people want that level of control? Like, what would be they're going to just take people over and, you know, control them remotely? And then I thought about the 2016 Sweden tunnel opening ceremony. That is something you got to see. When in Sweden they're opening that large tunnel, I forget exactly how far it went. I'll put all the information link in the comments. But it was easily the craziest of one of these type of things. You know, I'm not even going to get into describing it. You have to see it. But the one thing it made me think about is at one point in the ceremony, in the presentation, it shows these workers that are like slaves. They're like slave workers, but they act like the Borg. They kind of all do the same thing at once. They move the same way. They don't talk to each other, and their faces have this blankness to them. The actors doing this job were definitely told to have this blank expression on their face to show that there was no emotion. And they're all marching together, and they're building these tunnels for them in the presentation. And they're working to the point where some of them, as they're building, the tunnels will fall off and die because of, you know, I guess the dangers of being high up on these things. But even as they're dying, the others behind them will continue working, even as they see all the guys dying around them. So it's like, who would do that? Well, people that are controlled. So it made me think about that. Like, well, we need that level of kind of control where you could, you know, remotely just make people do whatever you want, up into including these giant public work projects. Even with the threat of death, you know, happening and people next to them dying as they do it. That's technology. That kind of ties together in my mind. And it makes me think, like, maybe that's how they built the pyramids. That's just a wild thought, but, you know, you think of those giant public work projects that You know, my idea was with the whole pyramid thing in particular was it was just some kind of technology that we no longer have access to. But who knows, if you had an endless supply of like worker drones that you were in control of, that could just keep doing something that the command you gave it remotely, I don't know, what could you accomplish? Probably a lot. You know, I hear about these different things and these sort of different disparate kind of ideas in isolation, and once in a while they all coalesce in your mind. And this is just one of those cases, one of those times. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.